Welcome back to Morning Express, and today being Tuesday, we'll look at your money. Now, many of us do know that when you get to certain levels of job hunting, one of the things that they may do is take you out for dinner. And this is before they get you the job. Now, there's a reason why they do that, and we'd like to find out, first of all, what is that reason and what is it that they're looking out to? So, for those of you that possibly have ambitions and would like to go up the corporate ladder, should you be taken out for dinner, it's not just a favor they're doing you. It is actually a test that you are under. So joining me to look at that and set a basis for this, we'll go deeper into it next week, God willing. But to set that pace is Mark Mbugua. Good morning and thank you for joining us. First of all, I must say that the last few weeks, I've gotten very good reviews on your gift, shall I call it, of reading signatures and handwriting.
Sure.
But now you told me that you can also relate handwriting to eating habits.
Absolutely.
And eating habits also give us an insight of who someone is.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Now, the key word here is about different types of interviews. And our context today is about business meal interviews.
Business meal interviews.
Business meal interviews. Now, traditionally, we are used to group interviews where you have to impress the interviewer or the group. Or rather other forms of interviews where they are really looking for a specific attribute about you. So business meal interviews have a very unique angle to it. Basically, they are after your eating habits, and it gives them a hint of how you approach life. So there's great need now to concentrate with the fork, the spoon, and also the knife.
Wow. But coming up from, and I'm sure we'll come to the reasons and what it is that your prospective employer is looking for when they are asking you to have a meal. But how does it relate to somebody's handwriting?
That's a good question you asked me. Now, broadly, interviews are designed to find an interesting fact about you. Now, handwriting, basically, how I combine that is to give us an overview of what your personality attributes are about and how they can also transfer to your eating habits. Now, suppose, let's say, because we've covered this before partially, if you're a fast eater, chances are also high that your handwriting also slants on an angle and looks fast-paced. So you see how your handwriting also transfers to your eating habits. Now, this is very crucial for your employer. Before they give you that job, they want to find an interesting fact about you, something that is less formal to say, because interviews are either formal or less formal. So in this kind of scenario, they're basically giving you or putting you in a position where they see what is it that you really exhibit. Are you that fast eater? Are you that slow eater? Are you that kind of isolationist kind of eater? And are you an adventurous eater? And many much more. Okay,
so when it comes to your eating habits, are these born out of somebody's character? Are they born out of upbringing? Because I'll give you an example.
Sure.
I've heard people say they eat fast because they were brought up in a big family, and as a result, it was whoever can eat fastest gets full first.
Yes.
So as a result, it becomes a habitual way of eating,
yes.
Whereas I'm not sure it really would reflect their character.
It wouldn't, but however, I expect you to develop this, especially when you're looking for some serious jobs and you're looking for a position in a company. I understand the upbringing has a lot to do with that personality component. However, we are saying do not delete this attribute. If you're a fast eater, because let's say you're part of military, this is a very valuable attribute. However, we are saying eating fast. However, we are saying in scenarios where you're putting your best image, in scenarios where we are saying it represents you, this can be harnessed and developed. This is where you take it easy, and because they're observing you and they're trying to see how you approach life.
Okay. Now, I've seen you've even come with some culinary here, forks and knives. And is there a difference between an eating habit and just good table manners? And the reason why I ask that is because there is what I'd call the traditional and the prescribed etiquette and way of using cutlery.
Yes.
Is there a difference now between your character and just good manners? Because I can have trained good manners, but it can be a way of hiding.
True. And that's why we have several avenues of evaluating this. However, since today is about business meal interviews, how you use that fork, how you use that spoon, and how you use that knife really matters a lot. Now, it's really also about the choice of food, and we are saying avoid messy food where you use both of your hands. Hamburgers, anything that allows you to put a lot of sauces, avoid. You're giving your best impression. Now, since you asked me about that, I'm not expecting our viewers today to display sort of a monarch style of dinner etiquette. Not essentially, but it's more on the choice of food and how you eat, how you plod along the plate. Do you go for your favorite food? Do you begin with your favorite food and then eventually leave, order something else?
This sounds interesting because I know there are some of us who start with the worst food and leave the best for last. There are others who probably would want to start with the best and then should I get full along the way, at least I leave whatever is left. So how does the choice of food play out? Now, and maybe what are the choices?
Let's say you're in a scenario where it's a buffet. And you have several displays. Now, the adventurous eater will actually take time, sample everything, have a little bit of what feeds the eye, have it on that plate, and eventually not even eat it all. This is the adventurous type of eater. He has a lot to prove. He's the life of the party. People are likely to remember him after the party. But eventually, I may see a chance of compromising of values to maintain an impression. Now, in the same buffet, Michael, if we have what I call the isolationist eater, once after sampling what they need, they are very systematic. It's not just feeding, they will complete one food item at a time. And this process is very methodical and systematic, very valuable for the employer. Now, we have the most obvious reasons that we know the fast eater, and chances are high we see a sense of urgency with this kind of eater, and chances are high they're really also going to lose some very crucial details. We also have the slow eater, and with this kind of eater, we have chances of boredom. We have chances of low enthusiasm. Their moods change very easily like the weather. So we have
the slow eater.
The slow eater. So having this in mind, you're likely to engage in projects and leave them alone. That's what now business meal interview is very completely different on different angle from group interview. See, in group interviews and traditional interviews as we know them is about impressing the interviewer or the group. Okay. When it comes to the business meal interviews, it's about the process. It is what is very valuable. So you can keep aside the monarch dinner etiquette, but we want to see the style of the dinner etiquette maturity and also the choice of food. These are very crucial for your employer. All right,
hopefully we'll be able to see some images that you've come up with which can help us understand. But I want us to go step by step. And you've talked about, we're talking about the business meal interview here, but you've talked about the fast eater, for example. Sure. That's what we started with. Are there advantages depending on what kind of job you do? Or maybe let me put it this way, for fast eaters, what is that saying about them, and what are good jobs for them?
Fast eaters are the only valuable attribute about them is about the sense of urgency if we need to get results done. The only challenge I have with this type of eater is that they display the results are so important to them rather than the process. Now, if you're being employed in positions where process is also very, very valuable, projects are very, very valuable, and the process really matters, you now actually...
But one might argue and say that majority of the companies, and anyway, at the end of the day, what we want is results.
Absolutely. But again, you're trying to fit in an existing team, and there are projects, and this kind of projects sample out some skill quality, and that's the most important thing. However, I'm really focusing on the attribute. What skill quality are you bringing into the company? It may be objective, we may need results, but what's your skill quality? How valuable and marketable is it?
Okay, we have now the other one that you call the slow eater. The slow eater.
Yes. Now, the slow eater, like I said, Michael, the challenge we have with this kind of person is they begin with the favorite part of the meal as they attend to the plate in its entirety. Now, the slow eater, two challenges that they face is that their slow enthusiasm and their quick mood changes affect their eating rate. Now, this displays someone who begins with a lot of passion, but in between, they fade off. So if you're in projects, I would really have a healthy enthusiasm, and a spark about you, but I'm really not sure whether we'll really reach to the fruition of the project.
The longevity is in question.
That is in question. So we also have, like I said, the isolationist eater. This is one of the rarest type of eaters.
What do you mean by isolationist?
What they do is they sample out their food methodically. They just don't begin.
Practically on a buffet, this is somebody who would probably walk the whole buffet, then come back and see what they want?
Absolutely.
As opposed to one who just goes speaking and discovers as they go along?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, I know it varies maybe if one is going for a la carte or buffet. However, the case is that they have to sample everything. They know where the soup zone is. They know where the meats is. They know where the vegetables is. They have an overview, like a bird's eye view of the entire buffet. You don't see this in the fast eater and in the slow eater. They begin from the point that they
the fast and slow eater begin at point A and finish at point Z, without necessarily having a scope of what they're picking.
Absolutely. Okay. And that's why this type of eater is singled out among the rest, the isolationists. They have a bird's eye view of the entire buffet. They know what is needed. They begin from one point methodically. What we learn from this type of eater, Michael, is that they are very systematic and very task-oriented deep within. This is the display that they put on the table. Their dinner etiquette is very, very mature. Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that one of the things that you should avoid is messy foods. For instance, something that would force you to hold, like a burger.
Yes.
Why should I avoid that? Maybe it's my favorite food, and possibly it will reveal that I'm adventurous as well.
True, but it's very different from the adventurous eater. Now, recognize that messy foods will take you a while to finish up that food. This is a very short interview, and some of this lasts between 10 to 30 minutes at most. And messy foods, actually, the challenge that you experience with this is that everything is poured out on the table. Eventually, we will have challenges scooping and putting it on in the mouth. So my suggestion would be go for less messy foods, like I said, in which you really don't put a lot of sauces in between.
Okay. Now, we have signature here.
Yes.
I want you to look at it, and I'm going to show it to the camera. And I would like you to tell us, first of all, seems to have gone to something else there. So let me see if I can find it. And those of you at home, if you would like to, send me your signature or your handwriting. And let's see whether we can tell whether you're a fast or slow eater, and possibly what job you should be taking up. Here we have it. Oh dear. Okay, this is technology getting the better of me. Let's see if we can get it. It keeps going to something else, and the more they come in, the more they... So maybe just take a look at that. I'll flip it for the camera in just a bit.
Yeah. Now, Michael, what we have here is like I said, the isolationist type of eater.
This is an isolationist eater.
Yes, and I would need that.
Let me just show this to the camera so that you'll see. Hopefully you can get it. There you go.
Truthfully, they are the isolationist type of eater, but they may begin to show symptoms of a fast eater, and that's the challenge between them, and I would need them to confirm this. They're very sophisticated, and you check out that signature, it's quite elongated together, and this kind of congestion really talks about how they sample up and really go on to the next project. Now, you may exhibit right now a fast eating trait. I'm not saying if you're one, then you have, you should really delete. I'm really using some excellent choice of words here. I'm just saying develop it, enhance it.
So now in this case, this is Zeddy, and is Zeddy, is she a fast eater or slow eater? Or what's her eating habit from what you get?
Truthfully, they are the isolationist type of eater. However, right now they're exhibiting fast eating traits. They would have a challenge if they're meeting their employer, and they would really go for what they are really excited about. However, I would say, depending on the scenario, please go for what's really comfortable and what will give you the best impression to the employer.
All right. You talked about now when I'm choosing my meals and possibly in terms of amounts. Does that have any play in the interview?
Oh, yes. Remember now the challenge we have with the fast eater is they have already cleaned their plate even before everybody else on the table is half of their meal. So with this kind of eater, we have the challenge of the impression. Their face is so animated because they're busy munching up. Yeah. So this kind of trait shows hastiness. Okay. This is what we do not want. Like I said, do not want to display in this kind of...
All right, I'll ask you to come along with me because there is what we have here, something that you had prepared earlier.
Yes.
And this helps us identify and see some of the traits that are there. So if you can just get it going so that it helps us understand. Today, we're talking about the business meal and what that kind of an interview does for you or what they're looking out for, because there are times you'll be invited for that business meal meal, and some may just assume that the invitation is an invitation to just enjoy a meal together, but there you got it wrong, because really there is what the employer is looking for. So far, Mark has enlightened us on 3 kinds of eaters. You've got the fast eater, you've got the methodical eater, and you've got the slow eater. So here we are now to just try and have that explanation maybe done in a different way. So here we go. I think we have that ready.
Yes.
And if we can get this at home as well, this would be awesome. Okay. And basically let us know if you fall in those categories. And like I said earlier, let me know if it's a hit or a miss. Let me know if what Mark is saying really augurs well with you, like Zeddy, who had sent us her signature, if that is true, or you think it's just a bunch of baloney. All right. There we go. So maybe you can explain.
This is the isolationist eater. As you can see, like I said, they approach the table methodically. Everything must be selected out, well spaced out. Their choice, see, everything is in small amounts. That is very, very crucial. That's why, again, the spoon is very, very vital. That's the isolationist eater.
So basically, even the way they arrange their plates is crucial.
It's very, very crucial.
Okay.
Yes.
And can one pretend to be the kind of eater they're not? Because, I mean, with this information, depending on the job, I'll obviously know what they're looking for, and I could easily...
Now, it's very hard to twitch.
Maybe what eater this is?
This is the picky eater. As you can see, there's a lot of animated gestures in between, body language. They have to sample things out. They haven't even begun eating, but everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a challenge with this. What we are seeing is that there's a lot of hindrance when it comes to creativity.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And the question I asked earlier on is whether one can pretend.
Now, it's very hard to, just to point out, it's very hard to fake some of this dinner etiquette body language. It's very, very hard.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just go.
So even if you tried and fake it, you'd probably get caught somewhere.
Yes, you will.
And now we'll highlight the slow eater.
Yeah. We're now going to the slow eater. Now the key attributes is that they take sweet time to pick what they love, and then they begin with what they love, and then they slow down. Yeah. So we're having challenges with this kind of eater. Why? It's because their grounding is not firm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And then eventually we have one more eater, and then questions can be coming.
We'll do the last one, then we can wind up.
Sure.
Time is up.
Yes.
And which eater is this?
This is the adventurous eater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is a thrill seeker, a risk taker.
Now, keywords: risk taker, thrill seeker. They have to sample everything before they begin. However, like I said, you're likely to remember this kind of guy because they try out stuff. But the challenge is, again, they may compromise on values.
All right.
So those are
well,
the type
Mark,
of
I think because of time, as interesting as it is, we'll have to wind it up right there.
Sure.
And maybe just your final comment on anybody who might be going for a business meal or a business meal, interview.
Yes.
What would the advice to them be?
Now, I would suggest that first and foremost, know what type of interview it is and know what they're really looking for. I would say brush up on dinner etiquette because some of these companies are after how you approach life through your eating habits. For more information, I guess we can catch up on social
All right.
platforms.
Thank you very much, Mark. And that's where we'll have to wind up the show this morning. Thank you so very much for keeping us company. It is absolutely a pleasure to host you on Morning Express. And from a very dedicated crew that works behind the scenes, would like to thank you all very much for watching Morning Express this morning and wish you all a fantastic day. Do stay with us right here on KTN News. Coming up next is World View. God bless.